Namaskaram. Ella Unaru. Good. Everyone's good. So see how I have learned so quickly. I've just come a day and I've learned something from Hyderabad. Okay, how many of you, how many of mamas here, how many of you mamas here know about comics? How many of you read comics here? Very nice. Some encouragement for me, some support. See, I'm going to be talking about, as mentioned by the host, about comics and my journey, how I ended up becoming the founder of Vimanika Comics. This journey, before I begin, I'd like to inform you that even though I have spoken a lot in my past, major part of my life I have been speaking on stage. So, over and out, the reason why I'm a little bit nervous also, I'll tell you, is because normally for a TED talk of what I got the information in my research, that you need 6 months to prep up. All these guys, all these brilliant speakers took their time and everything, and they've really practiced hard. But I ended up just practicing 5 days to a day before, for the main speech, before the main speech. So that's the reason why I'm a little bit dilly-dally. And it reminds us a little bit of the exam syndrome that we have, which is very alike and similar to the exams that we have in our country, in India. How many of you actually start studying for your exams a month before? Your teachers are not here and all that, so don't worry, don't get scared, basically. But we know that it's 12 months to 6 months, but we start studying a month before. How many of you here actually, honestly, or who know anybody who studies a month before the exam? Okay, very nice. Some shameless people here. We have 2 weeks before. Very nice. The gentleman right there. A week before. Wow, we've got some awesome revolutionaries here. A day before. Wow. Wow, awesome. I never thought about it कि कोई भी हाथ ऊपर जाएगा. But you can't beat this, huh? An hour before. Wow, you guys are better than me. Awesome. आप लोगों को वैसा रिजल्ट तो नहीं मिला होगा, मुझे पता नहीं, पर मैं 1 घंटा बिफोर पढ़ता था अपने एग्जाम्स के, और मुझे पता क्या मिलता था? घंटा. I used to get a ghanta because I used to study a ghanta. Very dedicated. That hour was very dedicated, but I used to get a ghanta. For that 12 months, मैं सब कुछ करता था, but study. I used to play video games, soccer, football, सब कुछ, chasing girls without any success, eating a lot of Maggie. That's why I had become very fat also, basically. The 12 months I used to do everything but study. So I became so good at it that the school decided that in my 8th standard, with some people they had to push out of the school, they'll push me out also. Because I was so bad. Normally you have these quintessential entrepreneurs who have this key, I am an entrepreneur, startup. I did something very innovative and creative, and I am a university dropout, college dropout. But I go and tell people I'm a school push-out. They actually pushed me out because I was so bad. I was a shame to the school. In fact, people, the old saying, people, you should aim for the moon, you'll hit the stars. You've heard of that? I aimed for the tree and I hit the ground. And what was that? I aimed that I will get 57.5% in my 8th standard exams. And I will pass out with the rising phoenix that I was. And that was the greatest thing that I could achieve. I got 45.5. I was so happy that I did that. I went out with, pride. I did that. No problem, you push me out, but I did it. I achieved that much. For me, that was great because I was very bad in academics. I was really bad. And I was not good at anything. Not talking to girls, not talking to anybody. I couldn't even pronounce my name rightly without eating it. You ask me, what is your name? And I would say, Karan Vir. Karan Vir. So that person used to get confused. What is your name? You can't even say your name. Means I was so low in confidence. But my point of me and talking to you here about this topic is that how I, from a wanderer, a loser, total loser, became a wonder in my own way. And everyone can. The only thing you have to take away from this story is 3 things which I learned and how I ended up becoming the founder and making some success of the company I am working in now. One is a burning desire. That's one thing that I focused on. A burning desire to become a better human being. Very important. Second, dream big. Dream very big that it scares you. आप भी डर जाएगा उस ड्रीम से. ऐसा ड्रीम करने का. वो रात वाला ड्रीम नहीं. Okay? No daydream, no night dream, but dream with your eyes open. Last, never give up. Stay persistent and keep it up till the end, till you don't achieve it. So accidentally, my mother bumped into someone who knew about this hostel in South India, Tamil Nadu. Between Coimbatore to Ooty, in those bends that you have, that route, you have this place, a village, a quaint village called Gedde. Okay, and the namesake, the inspiration for the name of that hostel was from that village, Gedde. So it was called Gedde. You have to get into the forest, 5 kilometers you have to walk, and you have to pray to the Lord Almighty that you find the way, because not everybody can. It's a very hidden track. So whoever can find the passage will reach that hostel. Whoever can't will be disappeared. He will get lost. So that is how that hostel was. It was so secretive. That was Woodstock meeting Shantiniketan Ashram. It was like that. There was no electricity. It was a very high-tech hostel. There was no electricity. Basically, there was no media. We were totally cut off. There was no TV. There was no computer. And, we were living in the forest with all the other animals and snakes and everything. We were taught how to encounter and how to deal with when you encounter a lion or a tiger or a leopard or a civet cat. But we were not encouraged. Our principal, who used to look like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. How many of you know about Lord of the Rings? You all watched it? So, okay, my speech will be more easier now to understand. He had this long beard and long white hair, but no staff. Okay? He used to come and disappear suddenly in the forest. And he used to come and advise and then disappear again. He was untraceable. But he used to come at the right time. So he used to never encourage us for studying. Never. He said, don't do it if you don't want to. Do it only if you feel the innermost feeling. So there was a time when I went mad. I said, I need to study. He said, no, you don't need to. No, I need to. You don't need to. Then he told me, now you need to. Because you got an inner desire. So you study only when you have that burning desire. Don't force yourself. I will not force you. So basically, in that college or that hostel or that ashram, I was put in such an environment where I realized my talent. And my talent which was part of a sixth sense faculty that everyone has. Nothing great about my talent. But I got it tapped by my master. My master was my principal. You need someone in life to tap it. You have that talent in you, that skill in you, and you need someone to find it, to tap it. So my talent was tapped, that is of creative imagination. And what is creative imagination? A sixth sense faculty where, your mind starts to creatively imagine cinematic visuals that I started to imagine. And because I had failed in everything in life, I thought that this is the one good thing I'm going to hold on to. And thanks to my brother, in my childhood, my bedtime stories was Lord of the Rings from 9 to 10. This is what we were narrated every night. But he narrated it very well. The art of narration was really good. So I understood the art of narration is very important subconsciously. And then the creative imagine mixed with it, I started writing. And I realized I'm really good. I didn't know a word of English, but I built myself up. I read Shakespeare. I read all these, profound dictionaries of, the language English, and I studied it. And I expanded my dictionary, my pronunciations, and I got confidence over time. And as I wrote, I realized I have got that confidence. So when I came out of Gedde, I at least had that confidence that I had one skill. I started doing various jobs. Various jobs after I came out from Gedde. I passed out from the hostel. I worked in Taj Palace. And in Taj Palace, they have many departments. So I used to tell people, because I was a little bit ashamed and embarrassed, that, I work in Taj Palace, the Khazana restaurant, I used to say. Because I was embarrassed, that I work in a telemarketing department, just below, in the basement, in Taj Palace, where, they have to sell cards to people. So I used to sell cards, to those irritating calls that you get. How many of you get those calls? Sir, you can get Airtel this and that service and this. Everybody gets, right? So I used to give these irritating calls to clients, and I had to sell 3 cards to 4 cards before lunch, or I would not get lunch to eat. This is the kind of effect that I had and the kind of work scenario that I had in my job. But we worked hard. There were about 32 employees in that department, and there were 30 girls and 2 guys. You can imagine. I mean, I'm not discriminating or something, but girls were really good in selling the cards. They were really good. But we boys, when we used to call, they used to hang up the phone. कोई इंटरेस्टेड ही नहीं होता था. जैसे हमारी आवाज़ सुनता था, सर कार्ड बंद, फ़ोन ही बंद कर दिया. तो मैं सोचता था, यार समथिंग इज रॉन्ग विद दिस, और शुड आई मेक लड़की जैसा कुछ आवाज़ वो अट्रैक्ट हो जाएगा. तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ. बट देन आई हैड नो चॉइस. आई डेवलप्ड माई सेल्फ, रेड बुक्स, and I developed the skill of selling. In 3 seconds to 4 seconds, I had to sell in that time. I had to hook him in that time. And we started selling so well that 2 boys beat all the girls in the telemarketing department. We sold more cards than the girls. We took it a challenge that anything is possible if you believe in yourself. You have a burning desire. You have a big dream. Whatever the dream may be. मैं रईस भाई तो नहीं हूँ, पर रईस जैसे मूवी में बोलता है ना कि कुछ भी छोटा नहीं होता. मेरी मम्मी हर वक्त बोलती थी, कुछ भी छोटा नहीं होता है. तो there is no work that is small. Every work is good if you do it with pride and respect. So you're much better than me where you are. I am a 10th fail. I'm proud to say that. Because for me, academic proficiency does not equal financial stability or success. What equals financial stability or success is your confidence in you, belief, enthusiasm. That's what matters. So, how did I get into mythology? After that job, why did I do mythology? What attracted me? There was a character in history, namesake. I was named after him. My name is Karan Vir. My birth certificate says Karan Vir. But when I asked the question to my mother, what is and who is Karan Vir, why Karan Vir, then I got to know from her and various people the truth about Karna. Karna was one of the greatest warriors in history, in ancient history. Thousands of years ago, he fought in the Mahabharata war, which was the most bloodiest war in ancient history, having casualties running up to 50 lakh to a crore in just 18 days. That's the kind of war that was. Whole world, around the world, everyone was fighting in that war. When I heard about him, I heard about his birth and his rise to becoming the king of Anga Desh, Anga, which is in Bhagalpur, Bihar. I said, this guy is awesome. He's got 3 things which I get attracted to. 1, burning desire. 2, big dream. 3, never to give up, persistence and consistency till he doesn't achieve his dream. So when he was born, that is where his burning desire was born. He was left to die in the river Ganges by his mother, drifted in the river to his destiny, to his karma. And God's plan, he hit the banks of a river Ganges far away in Champanagari in Bihar, and there he was adopted by a charioteer couple, Adhirata and his wife Radha. And they brought him up. Okay? But he was a charioteer's son now. He was no more the son of the sun, the son of the god. He was not from the royal lineage, though he had royal blood in him. He didn't know that. We all have that, but we don't know who we are. We have the power in us. We don't know till it's tapped. Just like Hanuman's power was tapped by Jambavan at the Rameshwaram, the beach, where he was told that you have the power to fly. And without spandex and chaddi and cape, he flew. He just had a langot and he went, Jai Shri Ram, and boom, he went to Lanka and he saved Sita and he rescued. And he passed on the message. Why? Because he had been given that power and he was given the awareness that he had something in him. We all have something like that in us. And I saw that in Karna. He knew that he was skillful archer. He was a great warrior. He was a yodha. But he was discouraged all the time. He was embarrassed. He was insulted. He was always disappointed. A lot of obstructions in his life. But he went through it all. He almost beat Arjuna. No warrior was at par with Karna. Eventually, Duryodhana saw that and he crowned him the prince, the king of Angadesh. So he was, at that time, a self-made millionaire. He didn't have the support that we all have. He didn't have that kind of support. He didn't have the contacts. He just worked his way. He got rejected so many times from Dronacharya, and then he went to Parshuram and he studied. He made sure he studied the Brahmastra, the Nagastra, the nuclear weapons that we used at that time. So through this story, I realized there were a lot of facts about our history that I didn't know. I was not taught in school. In the convents and the schools that I was taught in, I was studied in, I was taught about not Mahabharata. I was taught about all the other stuff, like Tarun was saying, you like to forget. So I forgot all that. For me, I was not attracted or proud about my identity, where I come from. Because Shashi Tharoor, everybody knows about Shashi Tharoor, who he is. He spoke in one of his interviews in BBC just recently, as he was launching his book. He said, if we don't know where we come from, we will never know who we are and where we are going. It's very important. When we introduce ourselves to someone, we always say our last name. Karan Vir Arora, Rajesh Kumar. Why do we say our surname if it's not important? If history is not important, if identity is not important, why do we say it? Just say Rajesh. Just say Karan. But why? Because it is important. We want to know where we come from. So if we want to know where we come from, we should also know where we actually come from. Thousands of years ago, where Mahabharata took place. In fact, I got so excited about it, but I got so disappointed when I met some friends and some people this happened in Mumbai. I asked somebody, आपको महाभारत के बारे में पता है क्या? बोलता है, नहीं ये कुछ ऐसा लड़ाई, वो राजा लोग लड़ रहा था कुछ 1000 साल पहले, ऐसा कुछ राजा लोग ऐसा. Then I said, boss, these guys don't know anything. इनको कुछ पता ही नहीं है. Some guy I asked, okay, you know what Apsara means actually? The real meaning of Apsara. My wife, my girlfriend is my Apsara. That's all I know. That's what he said. I said, that's fine. I'm sure your girlfriend is your Apsara. And all your future girlfriends also Apsara. But Apsara, actual meaning of it, you don't know. So people did not know. So I said, if they don't know this much, imagine there are so many things, there's so much of vastness in our mythology. I would not call it mythology, I'll call it ancient history, because myth is actually legend, which was the truth, now turned into myth over time. So I'll call it ancient history. In that time, there were flying objects, there was aeronautics, there was nuclear weapons, there was atomic bombs that Dr. Oppenheimer talks about. He was a Sanskrit scholar. Do you know who's Dr. Oppenheimer? The inventor of the atomic bomb. Yeah, we've heard of him. He was also a Sanskrit scholar. Do we know that? He, in one of his interviews in Rochester University, was asked, is this the first time an atomic bomb is invented and is detonated? He says, well, yes, in the modern history. In the modern history, he said, but not in ancient history. There was atomic bombs then. In Harappan civilization, if you go there, scientists have taken recent evidences and authentication over the carbon dating has proven that there were essence and elements and evidences that an atomic bomb had blasted. The same as happened in Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Same elements for here also. So we had that kind of technology and that kind of advancement of science at that time, balanced with spirituality. When I got inspired by this, I studied more on Karna, and my dream opened up that I want to make a movie. A movie on, Karna. It's magnanimous, it's epic. Like, you've seen the Bahubali right now. How many of you have watched Bahubali? Lovely. I really like it. Frankly speaking, the reason is that it's so different. It's so unique. So I wanted to do something like that, but, the fact is that I didn't have neither money neither experience. So I said, why not I create comic books? Comic books, what I could do is I could copyright it. Okay, so no one will actually think of stealing my story and making it into a movie without my permission. That happens nowadays, lots of times in a lot of the movie industries that we have in India. So I thought, let me just copyright it, make the storyline, and launch it in the market to see the response of people. If it is a good response, then we can see what we can do further on with it. And we launched with graphics, realistic graphics, award-winning graphics, which around the world, from the European market to the Japanese market, people can relate to. And my aim was to inspire the youth with our ancient history, share that knowledge. Whoever likes it or whoever doesn't know about it can know through the comics, because comics medium is easier to read. I was bored when my nani or dada used to narrate me Ramayana, Mahabharata. Kya hai ye? I used to not believe it. Ye sab hua hi nahi. This is all fantasy. This is some rishi, maharishi, somebody, whoever wrote it, just to satisfy his fantasy. He was a good storyteller, and he wrote the story to teach us some values. It's not true. How is it possible we can fly? How is it possible we are 15 feet tall then, 12 to 15 feet tall? It's not possible. How can we unleash the nuclear weapon with just one individual unleashing it? He's gone and he kills 50,000 people. Detonates, destroys 15,000. How is that possible? But when I studied, I realized that all of this has some truth and evidence. When I connected with people like Dr. S.R. Rao, who explored and discovered the Dwarka in Gujarat Pet, just 5 meters below the sea, proves the fact that there's something connected to Mahabharata. Because there's no smoke without fire. That I believe. So if old saying, one of the professors told me in Delhi, that you can't make a fool out of a lot of people for a lot of time. You can make a fool out of people, small amount of people for a long time. You can make a fool of a lot of people for a short time, but you can't make a fool out of many people for a long time. So many years, billions of people can't be fools. There's something there in this mythology, यार. अगर 15 feet नहीं होंगे, 50% भी true है, तो 7 feet तो होंगे, 6 feet तो होंगे. Chariots अगर उनकी fly नहीं करती है chariots, तो at least they must be knowing warfare, because it was a massive Mahabharata war. So I got attracted to this, and I realized that it was not primitive. It was not a family feud. Mahabharata actually happened, and it was very advanced in its own way. And that excited me, and it made me to write the story of Karna, that how he became the greatest warrior in history. He had all these 3 parts in him. So if I go now, and if I leave you with 3 things, like Tarun said, a message, I would say the message is this, that you need to have 3 things in your life. That is, 1 is burning desire. 2nd is think big, big dream. And 3rd is never give up, persistence and consistency. Thank you so much for your time.